and it's 7 p.m. Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. We are right at the top of the evening news broadcast tonight, doing breaking Q news. Finally, in our headline, finally, it's proven. You get coronavirus from cough or sneeze. There is a new live simulation of you catching COVID-19 and how it happens. And we begin by indicating that it has been proven from Carrie Sanders with the help of Florida Atlantic University Laboratory, just 14 miles away from this Q News Tonight's studio, proves in a dramatic simulation how COVID-19 is spread. It answers the questions you need to know on social isolation, social separation, whether masks should be required, the needs to cough and sneeze into your elbow, how cough and sneeze spreads person to person or person to surface. This dramatic new simulation can save your life. Watch this.
Scientists at Florida Atlantic University using a lab to visualize what happens when we cough.
Charging.
The engineering professors use a dummy to simulate the cough droplets we all create.
3, 2, 1.
The FAU team uses a laser to follow how far those droplets travel. What you're looking at is a mixture of water and glycerin that creates smoke 10 to 20 microns in size. The simulation shows the projection. 3 feet traveled in less than 2 seconds. Within 12 seconds.
That's at 6 feet.
And in 41 seconds.
There we go, 9 feet. And that was a cough, would you say?
That was a heavy cough.
In some tests, we saw the cough travel up to 12 feet.
Okay, this is a slight cough.
The scientists say naturally, a lighter cough doesn't travel as far. In every simulation, we observed what the naked eye cannot see.
I'm standing at the 6-foot mark. We have a heavy cough, smoke comes, lights out, and there, you can see it coming towards me.
Remember, the use of a mask is to protect other people, not you. It doesn't stop at 100%, but you can see how it dissipates a cough.
We're going to add to the story about masks a little later in the show that Misty is going to do a report on. But we do finally finish our report on this simulation that was done at Florida Atlantic University to show you what the President of the United States repeatedly said about masks. Watch this.
Advice on face mask. What would people gain from wearing a mask, and why are you opposed to wearing one yourself?
Well, I just don't want to wear one myself. It's a recommendation. They recommend it. I'm feeling good. I just don't want to be doing, I don't know, somehow sitting in the Oval Office behind that beautiful Resolute desk, the great Resolute desk. I think wearing a face mask as I greet presidents, prime ministers, dictators, kings, queens, I don't know, somehow I don't see it for myself. I just maybe I'll change my mind, but this will pass, and hopefully it'll pass very quickly.
The most important item related to COVID virus, other than testing, and you've just heard from the President of the United States. We continue in queuing up breaking Q news by reporting a new report today changes the timeline of when the U.S. outbreak began. New autopsy results show 2 Californians died of coronavirus in early and mid-February, up to 3 weeks before previously known's first U.S. death of the virus. These deaths now stand as the country's earliest 2 attributed to the coronavirus, a development that may change our understanding of how early the virus was spreading in the USA. 2 deaths in Northern California's Santa Clara County happened on February 6 and 17, the county said just yesterday in its reporting news release.
The previously understood first coronavirus death happened on February 29th in Kirkland, Washington. The 2 in California had no known travel histories to China or anywhere else that would have exposed them to the virus. Dr. Sarah Cody, the county's chief medical officer, told the New York Times. They are presumed to have caught the virus through community spread, she told the Times.
According to Dr. Ashish Jha, director of the Harvard Global Health Institute, quote, "This is a very significant finding. Somebody who died on February 6th, they probably contracted the virus early to mid-January. It takes at least 2 to 3 weeks from the time you contract the virus to the time you die from the virus. It means that there were community spread happenings in California as early as mid-January. Lack of testing caused nearly a 2-month delay in federal response."
So good evening again, America. It's 7 p.m. Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. It's time to queer up the news. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Tonight, so many of your stories, all next on Q News Tonight. Tonight on the world's first live daily queer evening news show.
Tonight's news about the gay community and the news from an LGBTQ perspective. Are our gay stories important to you? In headlines, politics, entertainment, gay culture, travel, religion, and more. Reported by respected anchors.
Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Thank you for joining Q News Tonight. We are live and unscripted, so anything can happen this evening in the broadcast. Tonight we bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBT community. Be sure to stay tuned as we are going to bring you amazing good news stories tonight, even despite the coronavirus pandemic. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and this is my co-guest anchor, Misty Eyes.
Hi, I'm super excited about a story about the gay pride flag.
And anchor, Napoleon Plays.
Hey everybody, I get to talk about Michelle Visage. It didn't even get to Al. I am pumped for that story.
Let's cue up the news.
Q News Tonight is part of the Happening Out television network. We are the world's most popular digital news and entertainment channels.
While other LGBTQ media have stopped publishing, limited their internet and web traffic, or ceased their video entertainment and news during this pandemic, we have actually doubled down on our commitment to the LGBTQ community.
Our website, It's Happening Out, is now Florida's largest daily traffic rank of any LGBT media, pride, gay business, or gay organization by a factor of 100 times greater. In fact, as of today, April 22nd, our website has grown in Alexa daily web traffic rank to number 15,824, most popular website in the entire world. We are committed to you.
We are Q News Tonight, the world's only live daily LGBTQ evening news with more than 100,000 YouTube viewers a week. We are the Daily News.
We are also part of the most popular live gay TV show in the world, every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on It's Happening Out. More than 500,000 watch each week on Facebook television. It's a talk show like television's The View with a whole lot of gay people.
No Napoleon.
Gay.
We are Happening.Fun, South Florida's most popular entertainment show for concerts, festivals, parties, and things to fun, with more than 20,000 of you in Facebook watching a week.
And our LGBTQ television network supports the live broadcast of Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday Church Service, the world's most popular LGBTQ queer religious broadcast.
We are your #1 source of news and entertainment during this crisis, and we continue to grow. Thank you for your support.
We advise you about our segment called Corona Quarantine Quickies. During the COVID-19 crisis, Q News Tonight will bring you today's coronavirus bullet points. The most important news for today in a segment we call Quarantine Quickies. Here are the headlines for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. In Quarantine Quickies, we bring you coronavirus facts for April 22nd. First, we report on the number of cases. In the world, we have crossed 2,600,000 cases. In the United States, 820,000. But we report that the USA's population is only 4.4% of the world's population, and now we account for 31.5% of all of the world's cases, and it grew higher in percentage today. We report on COVID deaths. The world's death total is now standing at 180,000, and the USA death total crossed 46,000. Again, our population in the world is 4.4%, and now we are 25.5% of the world's deaths. Again, reporting that it grew higher in percentage today. Testing sits at 4,201,000, and President Trump says we have more tests than any country in the world. That is true, but it is a lie. Because when you factor in that there are 328 million Americans, Trump promised on March 6 a test for anyone that wanted it. As of today, only 1.2% of the USA's population has been tested, while science and medical recommendations suggest 10% testing is needed for reopening. And finally, related to testing, we report on the top states doing a pretty good job in testing. Number 3, Louisiana at 3%. Number 2, New York at 3%, and number 1 is Rhode Island at 3.7%. We also report on the state's testing hall of shame and advise the LGBTQ America, we hope you don't live in one of these states. Number 5 is California with just 0.76%. Number 4, Kentucky at 0.75%. Number 3, Texas at just 0.72%. And number 2, Virginia at 0.69%. With number 1, poor Puerto Rico at just 0.34%.
Quarantine quickies. A second U.S. COVID-19 wave could be even worse. A second wave of coronavirus cases in the U.S. could be even worse than the first, the country's top health officials have warned. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Robert Redfield said the danger was higher as a fresh outbreak would likely coincide with the flu season. It would put unimaginable strain on the U.S. healthcare system. In an interview with the Washington Post, Mr. Redfield said that, quote, "There's a possibility that the assault of the virus on our nation next winter will actually be even more difficult than the one we just went through." He urged officials in the U.S. to prepare for the possibility of having to confront a flu and a coronavirus epidemic at the same time. The CDC chief said that coronavirus arrived in the U.S. as the regular flu season was subsiding. He argued that if it had arrived at the peak of the winter influenza season, quote, "it could have been really, 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 really difficult."
Quarantine quickies. Requiring masks, yes, but cities discovering health hazards of discarded masks. Perhaps no issue has symbolized the confusion associated with the response to COVID-19 pandemic more than the issue of face masks. Initially, health organizations said not to wear masks. Then, the Center for Disease Control said to wear masks in public. Then, some experts said that wearing masks can actually increase your risk of infection. Many cities and states eventually settled down and required masks for your face or face covering for everyone going out in public, even in the face of the confusion on the efficacy of masks. We have even started to see stories about citizens angrily confronting other citizens who go out in public without wearing masks. Now, cities are sounding the alarm about face masks for another reason. Improperly discarded masks are creating a potential health and environmental hazard. The problem has gotten so severe that one Massachusetts town has upped their fine for littering to $5,500. A new study reveals that as many as 100 million used masks will be in trash and recycling systems by the end of May.
Quarantine quickies. Stacey Abrams says Georgia could be the next ground zero for coronavirus due to reopening. We've prepared a package on this. Watch this.
We're the 8th largest state in the nation, but we have the 14th highest infection rate and the 7th slowest testing rate. What that means is that these jobs that are reopening, these businesses that are reopening, are going to force frontline workers back to the work without having been tested, without having access to a healthcare system to help them if they are in need. Georgia refused to expand Medicaid. We have one of the highest rate of closures of hospitals. And we do not have people who've been able to get access to the unemployment benefits that could allow them to take care of themselves while they're at home. The worry is that by trying to push a false opening of the economy, we risk putting more lives in danger. And there's nothing about this that makes sense.
Georgia's impending nightmare was made clear when Stacey Abrams stated Governor Kemp's decision to begin reopening businesses, quote, dangerously incompetent. She said today that the Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's decision to start easing social distancing and reopening Georgia's economy during the coronavirus pandemic risks putting more lives in Georgia in danger. Kemp announced his plan on Monday afternoon to allow gyms, fitness centers, bowling alleys, beauty shops and salons, barbershops, and more to open this Friday, April 24th. Restaurants and movie theaters would be allowed to begin dine-in services on Monday, April 27th. Bars, nightclubs, and amusement parks will remain closed. Speaking on TV Tuesday, Abrams said, quote, there's nothing about this that makes sense. The mayors of Atlanta, Albany, and Savannah have all questioned the wisdom of doing this. And the fact is the governor didn't even consult with the mayors before making this decision.
Quarantine quickies. We support #WithMe from YouTube to promote staying at home. YouTube is encouraging creators like us to publish content around the hashtags stay home and with me. For example, cook #WithMe, work out #WithMe, quarantine #WithMe, and any other fun and helpful coronavirus related themes that urge people to stay home. The YouTube featured videos section on the homepage promotes videos with these key themes.
So that's our special segment for the LGBTQ community called Quarantine Quickies for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. You can count on Q News tonight to give you the facts of the pandemic. After bringing you those facts, those quickies in the news, we will follow the headlines with a segment we call Coronavirus Good News. With COVID-19, we can all use a little good news. We report on the best of America and the world while in pandemic. We call this segment Coronavirus Good News for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020.
Coronavirus Good News. Wilton Manors Food Drive. Tuesday, coronavirus need came to Q News Tonight and the gayest place on planet Earth as my friend and anchor Al Ferguson helped prepare food and participated in a dinner for LGBTQ Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, service workers that just needed a hot dinner. A unique partnership by many sponsors led by Howard Andrew from Fab Scout Entertainment, Don Holloway from local restaurant Pink Sub, and Mark Hunter from Hunter's Nightclub. More than 50 LGBTQ bartenders, servers, and more participated in a drive through the food program. It was our community giving back to our community in need. And that is coronavirus good news. Watch this.
Well, hello, America. It's Al from It's Happening Out and Q News Tonight. And I'm doing a very special coronavirus good news today. I'm here with Don Holloway from Pink Subs and Howard Andrew from Fab Scout. And we're here in Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. As we say in the show, the gayest place on planet Earth. Howard and Don have teamed up together to help those that work in the service industry in LGBT to come here, and if they need food assistance twice a week, prepare a complete dinner for them. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing here.
Victor Lords, who also is working with us, so we're kind of a tripod here. But we decided that we needed to give back to our community, and 3 weeks ago, nobody was doing any kinds of food, and people were really starting to freak out. So Howard and I had one conversation, and the next day we executed that we were going to go ahead and start doing this.
Tuesdays and Fridays, Hunters has been overly gracious letting us use their space every week.
Yes, Hunters, and we're in front of Hunter's Nightclub here in Wilton Manors.
We have some volunteers here that are with us every week, Bill and Joel and and Skip. And, you know, these guys do all the cooking. We get everything together. We start to promote it.
Here's the amazing story in coronavirus good news. Dawn runs a restaurant and catering business called Pink Subs. Howard runs probably the most important adult entertainment talent agency in the country, Fab Scout. And what's so fantastic on this story, to help service personnel here in the heart of the gayest place on planet Earth, Fab Scout and Pink Subs and Hunters and others would come together to work together to help those that are in need in the coronavirus epidemic.
But I think it's great that we have a team of volunteers that show up every week, and it's, you know, we've had some adversity, some pushback in the community, some comments from people, but, you know, we take the negativity and we move past it.
At a time like this, there should be no negativity with what we're...
So guys, thank you.
Just a little
tonight
preview
is a quarter
of tonight's
chicken,
dinner.
rice and beans, and an empanada. The other night was Asian stir fry.
So, America, we're telling you about coronavirus good news all over America and all over the world. We thought we would come home to our own backyard. We broadcast about 3 blocks from here from the World AIDS Museum, and this is happening right literally at our doorstep. Thank you very much to both of you, to all 3 of you. And this is definitely coronavirus good news.
Coronavirus good news. The symbolism of the rainbow throughout history. The rainbow has had, over the years, more meaning and significations tagged onto it than the colors it contains. But museum professional Sasha Coward managed to take viewers through, well, a colorful history of the rainbow, all within 60 seconds in a clip uploaded to Twitter Tuesday morning. As part of the #MuseumFromHome series, which sees museum staffers and curators share stories behind their favorite historical artifacts and moments. For his 38th video, Coward takes the user over the rainbow, and that makes this coronavirus good news. Watch this.
Hello isolationists, today I want to talk to you about the rainbow. Now the rainbow has had meanings throughout time and history to different people. At the moment, if you walk around during lockdown and you see rainbows up in people's windows, it symbolises hope and perseverance, partly because the rainbow appears after rain. But in ancient Greece, if you saw a rainbow, you might think that the goddess Iris, who was a messenger deity, had come down to earth from Olympus. Now, the rainbow also has a symbol of community. Because it takes the visible spectrums of light and combines them into a single whole, it's a really powerful symbol for many different pieces coming together to be one. And for this reason, in 1978, Gilbert Baker created the rainbow flag. This originally had 8 stripes on it, but the turquoise and the hot pink stripes got rid of. Now the meaning of all those stripes was sex, life, healing, sunlight, nature, magic, serenity and spirit. So it has significant meaning, and you'll see it being used by many members of the LGBTQ community in many different forms. So when we put up rainbows, nobody owns this. The rainbow is a symbol we can all use, but it's worth remembering the different meaning it has for different people.
Coronavirus good news. COVID-19 provides a beautiful moment of pause on this Earth Day 2020. Q News Tonight celebrates today's Earth Day by reporting on what is happening in nature and our natural world. Coronavirus, at least for one beautiful Earth Day, is helping animals, our air quality, and our view of planet Earth. And for that, we hope you join us on perhaps the happiest Earth Day of our entire lives. And for that, this is coronavirus good news. Watch this.
The animals are taking over streets, and wildlife is roaming with less fear.
That's amazing.
Jellyfish gliding freely through nearly boatless Venice canals. Biologists in Thailand finding the largest number of endangered sea turtles in 2 decades nesting on its empty beaches.
We have been taking habitat from these animals. It might cause a sort of increased awareness of the natural beauty that's right around us.
In India, while 1 billion people on the subcontinent stay home, the Himalayas are now visible from this spot in northern India for the first time in decades.
It's just been a tremendous clearing, and there's no question that that itself will have saved lives. But it's incumbent on us to look for ways in which we can come out of it stronger than we were.
Well, that's our good news. Who would have thought being able to see the Himalayas or a killer whale swim in the Auckland Harbor in New Zealand would be good news from coronavirus?
I think it's great.
Any naturist, hippie, or somebody that just loves being alive, quite honestly, would be very happy. You can see how much I'm smiling just watching those animals go through the streets and being present and not dying from pollution. So any bit of recourse we can take with this is a positive for sure.
Any of you that see videos of dolphins, please share them to my newsletter. Even well, I was a mermaid or a dolphin in a former life, and those videos make me cry in a happy way.
That's fantastic. And we remind you, America, it's Earth Day. And it's an opportunity for us to pause and go, the world is not all doom and gloom. There's beautiful greens and blues and hues of the entire rainbow in the world. Tonight we are going to finish Q News tonight. We remind you at 8 o'clock we're going to be at It's Happening Out Live. We'll give you a little secret. Some of our hosts are going to be back on the show that you haven't seen in a little while. And next we have the big finish. There are many stories we only want to mention. Let's see if Misty and Napoleon and I can entertain each other in a lightning round of the LGBT news of the day and the news with an LGBT perspective. So here we go. Q News tonight, the big finish. Story 1. Head of the United Kingdom's intelligence service, MI5, apologizes for a ban on gay employees.
So production asked me to create a visual. So here we go. In order of helpfulness, thoughts and prayers, an apology, and then actual action to reverse the injustice, something required legally in a growing civilized space, way up there. Let's see if we can get that.
My first thought was, it's too late. And then I realized it's better late than pregnant. I will take an apology anytime, anywhere. Thank you for the apology.
Well, I have a little bit of a different observation. You know, I love the British man's philosophy of stiff upper lip. You insert your own joke here. But back in the day, MI5, their version of the CIA, must have really hated how many guys pretended to go with James Bond on undercover missions. By the way, I agree with 007, always shaken, not stirred. Postscript, my favorite all-time character secretly was Pussy Galore.
Of course that was.
Oh my God, I just learned that she has a soggy bottom all the time.
The big finish, next story. New survey shows 79% of LGBTQ women feel less visible than gay men.
Now, in honor of this and it being Lesbian Visibility Week, or a day within this week, I throw this to Josie, who of course is not with us in the past couple of weeks, but she'll be with us tonight on It's Happening Out. Stay tuned at 8 p.m. I've only lived in Wilton Manors for 5 years, and I only know one single lesbian in Lesbian Visibility Week, and that's her and her wife. I guess that's two.
That's good.
You own one single, two lesbians. This is a well-known fact. I thought everybody knew this. In fact, this is why we put L in front of the LGBTQ. Because when people think of gay pride parades, they think of men in chaps and drag queens. They don't think of lesbians. And lesbians are often ignored in our community. I think this is a reality.
Girls, buck up. Come on. This can't be true. All of you, well, for the girls, all you have to do is go to Pornhub, and you'll see millions of videos where lesbians are very visible, just like gay men.
I'll please never mention Pornhub again.
Big finish. The story is the Danish health chief has said today that it is absolutely fine to have casual sex despite social distancing rules.
And our little homoerotic fantasy of a town will serve as the answer to this question and many more, as essential businesses like sex clubs and brothels open back up shortly. Stay tuned.
So he said you should not avoid having sex, and that single people should allow themselves to hook up as long as they avoid large crowds. Well, large crowds is going to wipe out all of Wilton Manors, first of all. But second of all, coronavirus is contaminated or passed through spit and saliva. If we're not kissing, I'm not having sex.
First, The health advisor in Denmark apparently is as stupid as the president of the United States.
Hey, that's a big claim.
Second, I am really excited because I'm glad flights to Denmark are really, really, really cheap right now. Wait, yeah. The big finish. Michelle Visage is going to host a star-studded benefit for the LGBTQ nightlife affected by COVID-19.
Lesbians, and they're weak, in a sign of solidarity with gay men and their perversion, have protested that they will only show up if Visage promises to bring back the mega boobs. Mega boobs. That's how much I know on lesbians and boobs. Yeah.
Michelle Visage, I love you. She and I have a long-distance relationship. She used to live in South Florida, and we met on a Drag Stars at Sea cruise in 2012. And funny story, I told her I didn't want to meet her or get to know her because at the time I was auditioning for RuPaul's Drag Race, and she said, "Don't worry, I've met lots of queens before they go on the show. We could still be friends in real life." So I consider her a friend.
You know, I have to admit, I was bored to tears during the Lady Gaga concert last weekend. This, however, I am going to be making popcorn for. The one thing you are always sure of with Michelle Visage is that after RuPaul, Michelle is the greatest drag queen of all time. Mostly because my Jersey girlfriend has the biggest dick and balls I have ever seen. No, I mean it. I have personally seen her dick and balls in Italy, Greece, Britain, Spain, the Caribbean, Wilton Manors. The girl has what every gay man wants: staying power. Oh, true. And the show is going to be fucking great time.
Wait, am I the only one here that doesn't actually know her personally?
Yes. The big finish. Happy 82nd birthday, Jack Nicholson.
I'm sad about that. But one of my boyfriends, speaking of Jack Nicholson's, told me that his first sexual experience was of complete satisfaction, meaning some fun, was as a teen on a stationary bike, meaning that he first came on a stationary bike. And I don't know, and that was to Jack Nicholson. I don't know which is less believable, that that happened on a bike or that it was to Jack Nicholson.
Misty, just move on.
That visual,
come on,
is interesting. Jack Nicholson led me onto a love affair with Stephen King. And by the way, part 2 to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. Oh my God, it's one of the best books I've ever written. Read. I read it, I didn't write it.
Speaking of The Shining, I was just going to say, remember the Stephen King movie, The Shining? Where Jack's character turns into a murderous maniac, listening to crazy people in a haunted hotel. It's been a long time, but I think it was called Mar-a-Lago. Anyway, he still might have handled this pandemic better than Donald Trump has. Here's Donnie. The big finish. On this day in 1976, Barbara Walters becomes the first female nightly network news anchor.
But it wasn't until almost September in 2018, 42 years later, that Al Ferguson would follow in her footsteps, launching the LGBTQ version of The View, Walter's biggest lasting vision. It took over 40 years to find an equivalent cis-white male privileged enough to equivocate her accomplishments. A round of applause for Al Ferguson, please, everybody.
Yes. Did you hear the backhanded bitch slap? I did.
By the way, Barbara, thank you for breaking the glass ceiling. And I will honestly say many beautiful things were born in 1976.
We owe a lot here at the Happening Out television network to Miss Walters. All the way back in 1997, she created The View, and it reinvigorated a whole generation's interest in the news by making it just a few women gossiping around a table. A brilliant move that has been copied repeatedly, by the way, including with It's Happening Out, where we say all the time, it's like The View. I guess not so subtle, except it's super gay. Right. Look around the table. When she achieved this nightly anchor milestone, her co-anchor was Harry Reasoner. He hated her because she was a woman, and he did everything he possibly could do to make her look bad and get fired. Doesn't that kind of sound like our gay story? She survived, then thrived, then won. Doesn't that kind of sound like our gay story?
Yeah.
Are you listening, Mr. President? This is what happens when you give minorities and typically held back people the chance to shine. Do you care? Probably not. And wink, wink. Happy Lesbian Visibility Week, everyone. That is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show. Remember, if it's important to the LGBT community, it's important to Q News Tonight. But you must help us. Click subscribe on YouTube and share the news. We're out of the closet and into the headlines. This is the only source of live LGBTQ news in the entire world. So our community needs your support. And remember, even in coronavirus, you're not alone. We'll all get through this crisis, and we're here with you. And this is Q News Tonight. So thank you for joining us, and I'm Al Ferguson, and on behalf of Misty Eyes and Napoleon Plays, we'll see you tomorrow night at 7.